Hey, today is March 9th, Wednesday, March 9th. We are in the middle of the week. I'm so excited about what we have going on because, you did a wonderful service this Sunday
Well,
that
thanks.
just passed. Yeah,
Thanks.
great service, man.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And we were talking a little bit earlier, but the interesting thing about that is oftentimes I'll have an idea
Right.
about what I'm going to talk about, and in this case, it was the first principle, which is God is good and everywhere present. And then as I started sitting down and writing that out, the little voice comes in and says, "Hey, why don't you give them a little background
Right,
first?
right,
Because
right.
we have a lot of new people."
Yeah.
And and even some of the old timers, the people who've been there before and been to some other unity churches and things like that. It's always good to refresh.
Yeah,
And say, okay, this is where we've come from because it's different.
Yeah, yeah.
You go to a lot of the mainline churches, and basically what the mainline churches will tell you, and they are trained to do this, is have one or two or three simple things, okay, that this is who we are, and repeat it. And after a while, people get to know that. So, and Unity's a little bit different. We're a little more on the eclectic side. We explore a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And so
you emphasized that on Sunday. We definitely.
Yeah, and
our center is definitely the Christ principles. That's the
Right.
center, but you did say that we come from a lot of different
Right.
other texts that we can use to kind of get in touch with our spirituality.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's important that people know that, or at least have an idea of that perspective.
And a historical perspective is very important because it helps you to understand where you
I
come
think so.
from.
Yeah.
And then you talked about Charles and Myrtle Fillmore and them having a sickness and being poor.
Right.
And
And they were. Charles was actually raised on an Indian reservation in the upper Midwest. I don't remember exactly where it was, but Minnesota or some cold, all right, mosquitoes, that sort of thing. And he was ice skating and fell down, and that's where the withered leg came from.
You didn't mention that.
No,
I
I
didn't know
didn't.
where the withered leg came from, but I thought maybe he was just born with a shorter. Some people are born with that.
Yeah,
and born-
yeah. No, it wasn't a birth defect. It was an ice skating injury,
Okay.
and it must have been horrific because obviously the nerves and everything else just did not.
Wow.
So yeah, he had this big iron leg brace, and he walked with crutches at first, and then got to a cane, and he had a lift underneath his foot.
And I don't know about
like
the
that.
1800s, but when I was growing up in the 70s and 80s, those things were not attractive at all. They were clunky back then.
Oh,
in
yeah.
the 70s and 80s. So I can imagine what that thing looked like in the mid 1800s. That leg, not the leg, but the whole contraption. What it looked like.
Well, yeah, and he could hardly get around. It was very, very clumsy.
Probably was noisy.
Huh?
Probably was noisy.
Yeah, here he comes.
Here comes Dad.
But actually, we have a video of Charles. Back in the day, I used to show a video of Charles and the Unity Village and what it looked like. There was a beautiful video. I hope we still have it, because when we do new membership classes, I would like to show that, that sort of thing. But towards the end of it, he was walking around with a very slight limp.
Wow.
And coming from a lift underneath your foot and an iron brace and all that, and it was all primarily from his personal spiritual practice.
Wow. And you talked about Myrtle Fillmore. Myrtle being, having tuberculosis and
Right.
getting in touch with her own spiritual practices to kind of heal herself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are things that we can do if we really get in touch with ourselves. And
Yeah, and one thing that's unique about this. Originally, Christian Science and Mary Baker Eddy was the one that started this, and I don't remember exactly what it was like, but there are some religions now where people won't seek medical attention. They'll say, "Oh, well, it's all God and it's all prayer and that sort of thing, and we can heal ourselves," and they won't go to doctors or the medical community. And we don't do that. You know, we encourage people to seek the medical attention that they think is appropriate, and in addition to that is the prayer and the meditation and, you know, and the personal spiritual practice. So I want to encourage people, if something is going on in your life, seek the proper medical attention. Okay. I think that's very important. And most doctors are in that profession for one and only one reason, is because they want to heal people. They want to be a healer. You know, that's very, very important. I can tell you a funny story of me a little bit earlier. This is in the 90s, and I had a particular malady that was going on, and so I said, well, yeah, I know how to do this. So I went into a personal practice, and you know, went down through the body and did all the things you're supposed to. Did the meditation, and the particular pain that I was feeling, excuse me, it was an internal organ type of thing, and I said, and that pain went away. Okay, and I said, oh, okay, that's done. Great. Went to bed, right? About 4 o'clock in the morning, I woke up, you know, and it hurt, all right? And the voice of guidance, you know, that I often hear was very, very clear. You know, it said, now get yourself to a doctor, you know? And so I did. And I went to a medical doctor and got a prescription and got it all cleaned up. And what I can tell you, what that was, it was called BPH. You know, if you're a guy, it's the prostate. If you're a guy, over time the prostate tends to grow, and it causes some problems. It can back up your urinary tract, and you know, it can be kind of painful and things. And so when I went to the doctor, he took a PSA test, which is an indication of cancer in the prostate. It was okay, all right, it was fine. But he gave me a prescription, which I started to take. It was actually an alpha blocker, and it cleared that up, you know, and I've been taking that ever since. But the interesting thing about that is that every year I would go in and get a PSA test, and the PSA test is in the normal range. It's doing just fine. And I was in kind of a stressful job. You know, I was running manufacturing plants and things. And then just before, I think about 5 years before I went to ministerial school, it started going up. It started going up. It started going
I think
up.
when it gets in the 400s, it's going cancer can be.
Well, it's like 0.4 is normal, and then it was 0.5, 0.6, 0.8, you know, 1.0, and I went to. And by the way, those readings, given your age, are still in the normal range. But what I was concerned about is this thing is climbing.
Going up,
you know, it's going up every year. So it was like at 1.0 or so when I entered ministerial school. And one of the things that I did in ministerial school, I worked in Silent Unity. Okay. And Silent Unity, for those of you who are not familiar with it, it's Unity's 24-hour prayer ministry. And so I worked there 3 days a week, 3 nights a week, actually. We had classes Monday through Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday, or Thursday night, Friday, and Saturday night, I would work in Silent Unity. And on any given night, you have a headset. You know, the prayers come in. And I would do anywhere between 50 and 70 prayers during an 8-hour shift. And
your PSA went down.
And it did. It did.
Yeah.
You know,
Wow.
And here's the other thing.
Wow.
Here's the unique thing about that is I would say 70% of the prayers are for healing.
Wow.
You know, either emotional healing or physical healing. A lot of them are for physical healing. And usually it's mothers or wives calling in for their children or for their husband or for somebody else. But anyways, I'm doing, well, let's say 60 prayers a night times 60%, okay?
Right.
So I'm doing 30 to 40 prayers every night for 3 days in a row for 2 years. for healing.
Right.
And what I've often told people, and I say this over and over and over again, when you do a prayer for somebody else, you get a commission on it.
Wow.
Because that energy is flowing through you.
Right. Yeah.
Now, prior to that, I'd said, okay, I've got the prescription, everything is fine, and I didn't do the spiritual practice. But when I did the prescription and the spiritual practice, the thing just,
Wow.
I mean, it just went,
Wow.
it went right back down into the normal range.
It certainly
fine.
looks like, and to me, you have a prescription for us going forward. It does look like that.
I hope so.
Yeah, it does. I mean, we're starting out fresh again this year.
Right.
And you're the interim minister, and you're
Right.
starting out with the 5 principles. It looks like you have a pretty much of an intention on where we're going.
I do.
Yeah, yeah. And so can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah.
I mean, you did mention something about, you want to help us to learn how to pray more and
Right.
be more confident in our prayers so that
Right.
if someone wants to, use us in a situation, they can use us as far as prayer. So
Well, my goal at this point is certainly to establish a unity presence in Chattanooga. When I left in 2014, I felt kind of burned out at the time, and thought that it was time for new blood. And so when I left in 2014, we were a dynamic church. I mean, we had, 40 or 50 people every Sunday. We had classes. We had a chaplaincy program. We had spiritual cinema. We had all kinds of things going on. Financially, we were solvent. We were doing well. We weren't, millionaires by any stretch of the imagination, but we had what we needed. And what I found out is when you do the work, you do get the resources that you need, okay? And they come from the most amazing places that you'd never even think of. But that was there as just all the help we needed to build a dynamic church. And then, I left for, about 8 years, I guess, 2014 to 2022. That's about 8 years, I guess. 8 4 is 12. And so I want to get the church and the community back to that level. Again, a dynamic presence in Chattanooga where people who are interested in the type of thing that we have, and the philosophy that we have, and in the spiritual tools that we have a place to come. And I want to make sure that that's there. It's viable, it's vibrant, it's got all the components that we used to have. And then at some point, hand it off to the next minister who can take it even to greater heights. So that's my goal, is certainly to reestablish many of those programs, many of the educational processes that we have. And I'm excited about doing that.
yeah, and we're going to start out by, I think we mentioned something about a new membership class. That's something we might want to start out by doing.
Right. And that's why I was asking you about Zoom this morning.
Yeah, we're going over the whole Zoom process. So
right.
we can, get started on doing that. Yeah.
By the way, I don't want to say I'm computer challenged, but I know what I know with computers, and there's a lot that I don't know. And Zoom, which is the new way of communicating these days. Shannon is very good at that, and very good at the technology. I want everybody to know that this week's Faith-lift and a lot of the technical stuff that we do is all because of Shannon. It's all because of you. Yeah. And so we had a conversation today. You're showing me how to do that.
Yeah.
And
so I'm excited. I mean, we're excited because you're going to be actually doing Zoom classes.
Yeah, we'll get there. Hopefully,
we're all learning and we're all growing. So
Yeah.
It's all a process for all of us. And so I'm just happy to have someone in the community that can address, some of the needs that we have here locally, as far as people, the spiritual needs of the community, So to have you here in the physical form is a good thing. We didn't always have that, And if we did have people that were here, they didn't really want to. I'm going to say I didn't see them serving the way you're serving. So I'm grateful to have you here.
Well, good.
Yeah.
The last round that I was
saying something I shouldn't be saying, but I don't care.
Hey, it's good.
Yeah, I'm just honest. Let's talk about how I feel. This is my thoughts anyway.
Well, and I was in the last time I was the minister here, I was involved in the community in several organizations. And the people in those organizations have figured out, okay, he's back from Louisiana. Maybe he's healthy now. I had some physical problems for a while. And they've been calling. Wow. They've been saying, hey, we want you back. We want to. So
you got a lot of calls. You got a lot of meetings going on. Calls already, man.
Here it comes.
Back involved, and I'm excited to know what's coming from all of that. So keep us posted. Keep the board posted. Keep the posted on what's going on.
Oh yeah, I'm not shy.
But Doug, our 15 minutes is up.
Oh man, it goes quick.
It goes quick. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Listen, if this podcast is a blessing to you, share it. You can share it on your Facebook just by pressing share. Send it to people that you feel would benefit from it. And that's about it for today.
Okay, great.
Talk to you guys later.
Hey, thanks for showing up.
Thanks for tuning in.
Okay, see you soon.